Welcome to RCAM. I'm your host, Ryan, and thank you for tuning in today. I hope all of you guys are having a beautiful day. Yeah, thank you for being here. So glad to see y'all. And yeah, before I went live, I decided to go let my dog for a walk. I let him out the back. I poked my head out of the back door and a frog jumped on my head. So that was fun. It wasn't even like I was startled or anything. I was just like, oh, that's a tree frog on my head right now. Oh, you can't hear me. Hmm. Oh, hold on. I think TikTok, I didn't enable my mic. That should be better. There we go. So, anyway, I was just telling the audience, telling the viewers that before I went live, I went to go let my dog out and a tree frog jumped on my head. So that was great. that was fantastic. So yeah, so today we are going to be getting into a few different topics. So we are going to discuss the latest in left-wing terror attacks because they just keep happening. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about how the DHS may have messed up by using a video featuring Theo Von to promote deportations. So we'll talk about that, and we will also talk about Tylenol and how it may be linked to autism. So that's interesting, and the crazy things Libs are doing to own Trump, which is kind of funny and sad at the same time. And then we'll also be discussing Lauren Southern's accusations against Tommy Robinson and Andrew Tate. So, yeah, we got quite a bit of ground to cover. I meant to get into the Lauren Southern story yesterday. I ran out of time, man. It just happens, Sometimes I run out of time, and I don't have time to do all the coverage I originally intended on doing. So it is what it is. But today, I think we should be fine. We should be able to get into all this, cover everything we need to cover, and yeah, hopefully all goes well. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing great, and I appreciate all of you tuning in on TikTok and Rumble and YouTube, all the places, all the things. If you like this, please like, share, subscribe, and smash that repost button. And yeah, let's get into this. So I wanna start up before we get into the left wing violence. I do think we'll start with something a little bit more lighthearted, uh, kind of, because I do understand now why Theo Von is a little upset about being featured in the video I'm about to show you. So I do want to say that the whoever's been managing the DHS uh, Twitter page and social media page has done a great job. So they recently did their Pokemon uh their their Pokemon themed uh I guess video, which is great as a parody video. And the creators of Pokemon denounced that today, but it was still hilarious. And today they did this video that we're going to play for you. Sorry for you guys on TikTok. It's probably going to be a little bit small. DHS ended up deleting this video, but the internet is forever. So Theo Vaughn is not happy that the Trump campaign used his image to promote these deportations, which, if we were living in saner times, I don't think it would be that much of an issue. Um, but because we are living in a time where there are people killing you for your political opinions, I kind of understand where he's coming from. So this was his post. Yo, DHS, I didn't approve to be used in this. I know you know my address, so send a check. And please take this down and keep me out of your banger deportation videos. When it comes to immigration, my thoughts and heart are a lot more nuanced than this video allows. Bye. And they deleted the video. And Tim Pool responded and said, Theo is right. Anti DHS and pro illegal immigrant individuals might attack him. DHS should not have put his comment about deportations in their video because he could be killed. And I don't know if Tim is saying that tongue in cheek, but he is right, actually. He is right because today we got news that there was an attack on an ICE facility and three people died. Three of them are all actually detainees, so no ICE agents were killed. But we do have reasonable cause to believe that it was a anti-immigration psychopath that tried to kill them. So, but before we get into that, Theo Vaughn wrote and said, "It's crazy to me that they would think this is okay. What if someone attacks me tomorrow because they think I'm the final boss of deportations or something?" Yeah, and I think that's a very reasonable concern. I actually do think that that was kind of careless and reckless in light of everything that we know. Again, if we were living in saner times, I don't think there would be really anything wrong with this, but we're not living in sane times. We're living in crazy times where simply stating your opinion can get you shot in the neck. That's the times we are living in right now. So Theo Vaughn is rightfully concerned that he could be in the crosshairs of a crazy anti-immigration activist. And I don't blame him. I actually don't blame him. So I'm glad DHS took it down because we've already seen, aside from the attack on the ICE facility today in Dallas, we have already seen anti-ICE sentiments. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, earlier this summer, LA was on fire. I mean, we had anti-ICE protesters blowing up Waymos and throwing rocks at ICE agents and getting violent and burning the American flag. And just, it was crazy. It was crazy. And Trump had to send in the National Guard to help restore order to LA. So that happened. And now today we have this news that broke. I'll just play the video. Anyway, three shot ICE facility in Dallas. We got more from the Daily Wire here with a little bit more insight into the possible motives. So, ICE facility shooter left bullet casings reading anti ICE at attack scene. So, an initial review of the evidence shows an ideological motive behind the attack. So, we see here that these bullets have anti ICE written on them. Now, some people are saying, well, isn't that suspicious? Not really, actually, because we know that copycat killers are a thing. The last three major shootings actually have all had writings or inscriptions on the bullet casings or cartridges. So this is actually not that surprising. Um, honestly. So that is, some insight into the ideological bent. Now, I don't know many right wingers that are anti ICE. That's not typically a sentiment shared by right wingers. We're typically pro ICE. So, the shooter who killed at least two detainees at an immigration and customs enforcement facility in Dallas on Wednesday left a shell casing at the scene that read anti ICE, according to the photo by FBI Director Kash Patel, who posted that on X. While the investigation into the attack is ongoing, an initial review of the evidence shows an ideological motive behind this attack, Patel wrote. These despicable, politically motivated attacks against law enforcement are not a one off. We are only miles from Prairieland, Texas, where just 2 months ago, individuals ambushed at a separate ICE facility targeting their officers, Patel wrote. Yes, this is not an isolated incident. Again, the LA riots earlier this year were just more into, more um, instances of anti ICE protest and violence. It has to end, and the FBI and our partners will lead these investigative efforts to see to it that those who target our law enforcement are pursued and brought to the fullest extent of justice, he added. The shooter who took his own life, coward, has yet to be publicly identified. He opened fire from a nearby government building, the Dallas Police Department said on X. All the victims of Wednesday's shooting were ICE detainees, according to NBC News. So this is the original tweet. Wednesday's attacks is just the latest in an ongoing pattern of incidents against ICE personnel in Texas and across the country. A group of leftist anarchists clad in military style gear threw fireworks at an ICE facility in Alvarado, Texas, located just outside of Dallas, to lure officers outside before they opened fire on July 4th, shooting a local police officer in the neck. I didn't even know about that. So that's crazy. So they're just opening fire and routinely attacking ICE, and I'm not surprised by the rhetoric that's being used against them. So we'll talk about that in a second. The group allegedly possessed flyers reading "Fight ICE terror with class war" and "Free all political prisoners," and a flag stating "Resist fascism, fight the oligarchy." Hmm. That is also eerily similar to some of the messaging that we saw on the bullet casings that were intended to kill Charlie Kirk. And, one of them that ultimately did kill Charlie Kirk. I don't think that's a coincidence. In a separate incident, Brenton D. Wilkinson, a 36-year-old citizen, showed up at an ICE facility in Dallas last month and announced he was carrying a bomb in his backpack and flashed a detonator on his wrist, the agency said. I didn't hear about that either. So, but these are the comments that we routinely hear from Democrats. So this is from Gavin Newsom. They are being hyperbolic. This is called enforcing the law. So, what he's bothered by is that the president is enforcing the law. Okay, that's what they're doing. That's what ICE is doing. They're enforcing the law. They're taking criminals who definitionally do not belong in our country, and them entering makes them illegal. Them coming into our country unlawfully makes them illegals. That makes them criminal, and he's sending them back to their own countries. The horror. So, there's Gavin Newsom basically, calling the actions, lawful actions authoritarian. Um, we have here, just a comparison. California Governor Gavin Newsom calls ICE arresting illegal aliens authoritarian actions by an authoritarian government. And then, oh, what do we have here? 3 people have been shot at an ICE facility in Dallas. So I think they know what they're doing. I've made the argument, and I'll make the argument again um, a little bit later. I'll expand upon this, but I do think that they ultimately want us to respond violently. They're ramping up the rhetoric, and they're doubling down because they want like us to retaliate because they're desperate to move on from the fact that we are noticing that there is a left wing problem of a violence happening in our country. So this is another video by Tim Pool I want to play for you guys, and we'll talk about it. And Tim is absolutely right. It does need to stop, but I don't think they have any intention on stopping. And I do just want to go over some of the tweets. Hold on a second. So I do want to read one of the. Actually, hold on a second. Let me pull something else up because I saw JD Vance release some comments, so I want to cover those. All right, let's play this clip real quick, and then we'll talk about it. And he's 100% right. Yeah, because that's what they want. They want the political violence. They're not going to outright say that, but that's what they want. And just to recap, all right, because I do think this is important. All right. So this is from the quartering, okay? And this was before this ICE facility attack, all right? The radical left killed Charlie Kirk. The radical left fired shots into ABC headquarters. The radical left killed someone at a wedding yesterday. Anyone who is obsessing over foreign countries is only here to divide the right, to distract it and fracture it. The left is the enemy. And I've been saying that for a while, that we need to, not focus on fighting each other, but to focus on the real enemy. And just in case you missed it, just in case this has been memory hold, I do want to, go over, real quickly. We'll go through some of these attacks because they have happened. All right. So we have this multiple shots fired at ABC building in Sacramento. Police say at least 3 rounds hit the building's window. No suspect has been apprehended at this time. I do believe they caught the suspect. So there you can see the bullet holes. And we have more. So we have more on the suspect. I can't believe they released him. So anyway, so you got that. Um let's see. We got way more, man. So let's see here. So here's another issue where Benny Johnson highlights the fact that there was a bomb after the Charlie Kirk incident. Someone tried to blow up a Fox News truck. So we're gonna play this clip real quick. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I bet none of you guys heard about that. Who was only fired for like 3 days. It is not a both sides problem. Yeah. I had a sociology professor teach me about two different types of people. He described them as Apollonians and Dionysians. Now, Apollonians are the builders of society. Apollonians would build society, they'd create, they'd give back, they would contribute to society overall. Dionysians would tear things down. That's what leftists are. They are Dionysians. They tear things down, they destroy, they do not build. They do not create, they only destroy. And that's the case here. Is all they have done is destroy time after time after time. So you had that instance. We also had this instance covered by the quartering. Uh, Shouting "Free Palestine" is functionally no different than Allah Akbar in America. You're likely a terrorist. Crazed gunman shouted "Free Palestine" before opening fire and killing a guest at a ritzy country club wedding. So we had that incident also happen. So all of these are just happening kind of back to back, and it's really, really crazy. So here's a little bit more on that story. Yeah, so just more and more terrorism. I mean, how many examples of that was there? They mentioned Brett Kavanaugh being attacked by someone who identifies as a transgender activist and was deeply mentally ill. So it just over and over and over again. Then you have this from Gavin Newsom. So he said they tweeted this out on September 20th, not that long ago. Christy Nome is going to have a bad day today. You're welcome, America. Same language that they were using, by the way, the trans activists were using um before Charlie Kirk was ultimately assassinated. There were lots of people quote unquote predicting his death and saying that Charlie Kirk was going to have a bad day, and you think, okay, maybe these are just like fringe, leftist weirdos online that are chronicling online. Maybe that's, maybe it's exclusive to the digital space. No, I actually don't think so, because then we have AOC. There is a video. I'm not going to play the video. I'm just going to read you her statement, her email. So this was brought to us by Laura Loomer. AOC just sent out a fundraising email attacking Charlie Kirk. So we should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was: a man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote, was a mistake. Who, after the violent attack on Paul Pelosi, claimed that some American amazing patriots out there should bail out this assailant, and accused Jews of controlling not just the colleagues, it's the nonprofits, the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant and sought to disenfranchise millions of Americans, far from working tirelessly to promote unity as asserted by the majority in the resolution voted on today. We can condemn his horrific assassination and the scourge of political violence without uplifting these ideas. And she's lying here, by the way. She I'm not just saying this because I like Charlie Kirk. She is bold-faced lying, in particular about Charlie Kirk wanting to, um, believing that the civil rights act was a mistake. Because if you listen to context, and context is really important because people can clip anything you say into a tiny fragment and make it sound like you're saying something that you're not. And most of the people that are reacting to Charlie Kirk clips going around didn't actually watch the full context of the video that was being referenced. And he actually talks about the spirit of the Civil Rights Act being good and how he would narrow the focus of the civil rights so that it basically only applies to Black Americans and doesn't uh, give permission for all sorts of groups like transgender activists the right to use the women's bathroom, which is what it has been used for. So he wanted to narrow the focus of the Civil Rights Act, not ban it altogether. But they insist on lying. Not just her, but we also have Representative Ilhan Omar. These are congresswomen, by the way. Just to remind you. So for those of you people saying that this is just fringe or that it's it's happening on just online. No, these are members of Congress saying the same thing. What she finds jarring is not the fact that Charlie Kirk got shot in the neck, not the fact that he was murdered, but the things that he said. That's what she finds jarring. Demon, yo. Demonic. So they are doubling down, continuing to call him hateful, continuing to use the same sort of rhetoric, and it's not just him. We're gonna highlight another person, Jasmine Crockett, who also said some things that. So they're continuing again to make Charlie Kirk seem like he was racist, make it seem like he was a bad guy. And it's just disgusting at this point. It really is. So they we heard a lot of talk early on about dialing it down and toning down the record rhetoric, and we need to the right is overreacting. I don't think that we were at all, not by a long shot, because we identify something that is happening, and it's not happening at a small scale, it's happening on a large scale. We are getting attacked for our political views. We are not, we cannot feel safe exercising our freedom of speech without repercussions. I opened with the Theo Von story, and his main concern with Trump, the Trump administration or the DHS using his image to in their parody video for deportations was that people would think that he supported that and target him with violence. Why would he think that? Why would he think that he would be targeted with violence if there isn't a problem of violence that's coming explicitly from the left wing. See, you can be anti-immigration and you don't have to worry about violence from the right. Like you could post a parody video, and talk about how you're pro open borders and pro this, and you don't have to fear reprisal from that because you know that the right wing movement is not going to attack you. We can say with 99.9% certainty that won't happen. You cannot say the same thing if you are pro immigration, as we have seen with ICE being attacked. And as we are also seeing with other conservative influencers trying to follow in the footsteps of Charlie Kirk. So this video I'm about to play for you is from a right-wing influencer that attempted to um, have a conversation at HBCU. So all they did was set up a table and they're being chased out. You can't have conversations with people like this. Like yeah, I'm convinced if the police didn't show up, there would have been violence. There would have been violence without a doubt. And that is really concerning that we can't be at a place in our society where you can have open dialogue anymore. Now, thankfully, there are a lot of conservatives that are still taking still willing to put their neck on the line, literally, to speak the truth and have these conversations. So we have, Turning Point USA continuing their tour, and we have, people like Michael Knowles and Ben Shapiro and Allie Beth Stuckey. I'm sure there's going to be a handful of other people putting their lives on the line to continue the conversation. But how do you continue a conversation when people don't want to talk? They just want to yell. They just want to rage out. They just want to shout you down. They don't want to listen. They want to gnash their teeth, cover their ears, and stop talking. And we know too, by the way, when the talking stops, that's when the violence happens. And they desperately don't want to talk. So it leads you to believe, well, what then do they want to happen? Do they want violence to happen? I tend to think that they do. Now, I'm not saying this to discourage right wingers from having conversation. Yeah, I would say try your very best. But there are certain people, and this is maybe something I struggle with. It's just like, at what point do you stop trying to have conversation? Because like I'm all for having people having conversation with people that are acting in good faith. But when somebody is committed to misrepresenting you, when they're more interested in shouting than listening, I don't know what having a conversation exactly accomplishes. I don't, because you can't have a conversation. A conversation involves speaking and somebody listening and you responding to what they're saying. But if you're speaking and they're not listening and they're shouting, no conversation can occur. And that's a problem. That's an issue. And Charlie Kirk was able to overcome that barrier. I don't know how successful um your average Joe will be in doing this, because we saw this guy try to do it and he was chased off of campus for trying to have a conversation. So I don't know. That's weird to me. That's suspect. I don't like it. It is what it is. But I do hope that things can calm down, and I hope more conservatives have more make more headway. And I think one of the things that we need to do is before we set up tables, before we go to speaking events, we have to be prayed up, man. We have to be prayed up and prepared for what demonic forces might manifest when we come and we speak the truth, because there are going to be people that don't want to hear it. When we're going to say something true, we quite literally will invoke demonic rage from some people, and we need to be ready for that. We need to be prayed up for that. And if you don't believe that there's a spiritual battle, I want to highlight a interesting story, and I did cover this before on my show, that happened before Charlie Kirk died. Let me see if I can find the original article first before we dive into it. I don't want it to get memory hold. All right, so here it is. So before Charlie Kirk died, there was an article posted by the website Jezebel. And here's the headline of the Jezebel article: "We paid some Etsy witches to curse Charlie Kirk. If the far right misogynist with a bad haircut wants to villainize independent women, Jezebel is more than happy to be the hag of his nightmares." So this was posted September 8th, 2025. So this is 2 days, I believe, before Charlie Kirk died. 2 days they posted this article before Charlie Kirk died. Then I found the crown jewel. Your pants spell review. It really worked. Thank you. At that point, it was clear I need to order multiple curses at different severity levels and price points to guarantee results. After placing my first spell, make everyone hate him, I was left with more questions than answers. How long would it take to kick in? Should I have splurged for a pricier spell to make it work faster? Shortly after, the witch messaged me trying to upsell me a $50 spell booster. When I asked what it did, she explained it would amplify the energetic support of the main spell, or else I could let it unfold in its natural timing. I decided to trust the witch's well. For the powerful hex spells, I had provided Kirk's date of birth for accuracy. The witch performed the hex, but her response was unsettling. "I just completed your spell. It was successful. You will see results within 2 weeks. However, I did notice disturbances, negative energy, not only." So the witch claimed that she was able to successfully cast a spell. And not long after that, this person who hated Charlie Kirk decided to kill him. I don't know, man. It seems very unsettling to me, and it wasn't just unsettling to me reading this, because I read this before Charlie Kirk died. I saw this article, and then Charlie Kirk dies, and I'm not the only one that saw it. It seems that Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk were bothered by this spell. So I'm going to play for you Megyn Kelly's coverage of this.
those curses were requested and cast 2 days after Jezebel published that article, Charlie was killed by an assassin's bullet. I know what you're thinking. This is a bullshit Etsy curse. Why are we spending time on this? I'm going to get to that in a minute. Stay with me for now. After the shooting, Jezebel took down the article, quote, on the recommendation of our lawyers. They underscored that the piece was meant to be humorous, intended as satire, and that they made clear they wished Charlie, quote, no physical harm, which is not the full story now, is it? At the same time, they said of the article, quote, we stand by every word, which means they did want him cursed. They wanted everyone to hate him. They wanted it to be powerful, and they wanted Charlie, quote, punished for years of regressive rhetoric. They also made clear that taking down the article was, quote, driven by an abundance of caution for our staff. In other words, they were worried about violence against them by Charlie Kirk supporters. They also, they wrote, wished, quote, to avoid the piece being misused in a tense and volatile environment. There was not.
Hey, KMD, I see you, man. Welcome in.
They made clear any change in their editorial judgment. In fact, they emphasized, quote, we may republish at a later date. They then rambled on about the country's gun problem and the heated political divide in the country and free speech, noting they do not actually condone political violence. Now, again, you may be saying to yourself, why are we talking about Etsy curses? None of this is real. Well, two things. First of all, Christians are opposed to casting spells or trying to contact the spirit world. Not only
I want to read for you real quick, just a couple verses, because when I say we are in a spiritual war, I really mean it. We are in a spiritual war. This is a battle against principalities of darkness, rulers in high places, and wickedness. This is what we are up against. Deuteronomy 18 through 10 reads, there shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or daughter as an offering, anyone who practices divination, or tells fortunes, or interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or a charmer, or a medium, or a necromancer, or one who inquires of the dead. Whoever does these things is an abomination from the Lord. So this is God explicitly condemning sorcery, explicitly condemning occult practices. We have Leviticus 19:31. Do not turn to mediums or seek out spiritists, for you will be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Leviticus 26. If a person turns to mediums or necromancers, whoring after them, I will set my face against that person and will cut him off from his people. 1 Samuel 15:23. For rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance like the evil of idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king. Galatians 5:19. The acts of the flesh are obvious: sexual immorality, impurity, debauchery, idolatry, and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy. Those who live like this will not inherit the kingdom of God. So, over and over and over again, we see examples of the Bible explicitly condemning the practice of witchcraft or divination, sorcery, occult practices in general.
because they believe there's only one God, but because they acknowledge the existence of the devil and evil spirits. Here is Father Mike Schmidt. He was on the day Charlie died, helping us through that as well. But he came on our show first time a couple of years ago, and here he is discussing this very subject.
The motivation behind the Ouija board is actually something where I'm trying to contact spirits. And someone could say, well, I'm trying to contact nice spirits or good spirits. And the unfortunate thing we know about is that, yes, when God created angels are good, they're beautiful, they're in harmony with Him. But also we know that a number of those said no to God. A person who's reasonable would say, but I'm just playing. far. But that was an entry point for what ultimately became a possession.
In other words, playing with fire, messing with this stuff.
Yeah.
There actually are demons in this world. Calling up the spirit world, in particular the devil's spirit world, can actually have real world consequences. It's not something to mess with. Many Christians believe this. This is dangerous. It's not a game. It's literally evil. Second, this is what I really want you all and the people at Jezebel and Etsy to know. Erica and Charlie Kirk heard about these curses, and that news genuinely rattled Erica in particular. She knew Christian teaching on the subject. She loved Charlie, absolutely. And she was scared when she heard of the curses Jezebel had called up. So much so that she and Charlie contacted a friend, who I believe she said was a Catholic priest, but definitely a friend, and asked him to come over and pray with them over Charlie the night before he was murdered. She eventually worked it through, and so did Charlie. That, as she later told me, weapons will form but not prosper. That Satan and those witches have no power. Of course, God's will is the one that matters, and his blessing over Charlie was real and palpable. All you had to do was spend time with Charlie to know that. But why torture a family like this? A Christian, believing family. Why do this vile thing to a young couple, parents to two babies, living in accordance with the gospel, deeply in love? Yes, political, but doing nothing other than speaking publicly about their views and their desires to make other people's lives better. Who would do such a vile thing? Jezebel, that's who.
And for those of you who are, unfamiliar with Jezebel in the Bible, she was an extremely evil woman, man, that came against God's prophets, and she met a violent end because she was a wicked woman. But I do think this is something that we have to take more seriously, because this is ultimately what we are up against. We should not take uh, curses lightly. We should not toy around or mess with witchcraft in any way, shape, or form, because it has consequences. This isn't, I know that the Ouija boards are sold by Hasbro and kids treat it like a game, but it's not actually a game. All right. It's demonic, it's evil. It opens the door to demonic presences in your life, and you could be at very real risk. And if you're trying to do this against somebody else, um if you go looking for the devil, you might just find him. So I highly discourage people from doing this, and I do also think this should be a wake-up call to believers that we are up against very real spiritual forces that we should not take lightly, and why it's important for us to pray for our leaders. This is not the first time we have seen people try to curse leaders in the conservative movement. This has happened to Trump. And you want to know what happened? Uh, there was an assassination attempt on Trump. And we now seeing this curse happen over Charlie Kirk. And within the designated time frame, there was unfortunately a successful attack carried out on Trump that cost him his life. We cannot take these things and treat them like jokes. It's not a joke. We have to pray for those in leadership. We have to render the power of the enemy useless and futile. And we have to put on our most holy faith and stand against the forces of evil. So I really do challenge you guys to pray for your leaders. Pray for the people in charge of this country. Pray for the leaders of your church. Pray for the leaders of your local government. Pray for these people because they need to be covered by our prayer. Because there are people, there are adversaries out there that want to see harm come to them. I am convinced that this person, even though it's supposed to be a joke article, sincerely did want something to happen to Charlie Kirk, which is why she sought out spells to begin with. It's scary, man. It really is. It's really unsettling stuff. Um, okay, let's dive into a different topic. Let me just make sure my wife isn't calling or didn't leave me any text messages. Yeah, usually she gets home around this time, so I just want to make sure I don't miss anything from my wife. So, all right. So, I did want to cover this story because this is pretty groundbreaking news. So, the Trump administration has made a connection between Tylenol and autism. And I do think that's worth exploring because, I have two children of my own, and the only medication that we were told is, basically safe to take during pregnancy was Tylenol, ironically. And now they're saying that there's a link between Tylenol and autism. So let's play this and we'll talk about it a little bit. And then some of the unhinged reactions that happen to this, because it's really crazy how much the hatred for Trump clouds people's minds. All right, so here it is.
Medicine is doing small little studies giving us answers we already knew. But we've got to make a difference. You've given us a charge to identify root causes. We are not going to stop so that we can end the suffering we are watching. President Trump's urging NIH, FDA, CDC, and CMS are turning over every stone to identify the etiology of the autism epidemic and how patients and parents can prevent and reverse this alarming trend.
The NIH peer reviews chose the 13 best projects focused on root causes and therapies with replication and validation studies to guarantee gold standard science. The studies feature a new kind of science called exposomics, where scientists consider environmental and medical factors, nutrition, events during pregnancy, in combination with biology and genetics to answer vital questions about autism.
In a historic fashion, in a very accelerated manner, we have a response today to the autism crisis. It is the first of several chapters, but this is breaking news.
We are sharing this information not to confuse, but to empower parents to make the best choices when taking medications during pregnancy. I'm just very grateful. Pray for my son every day and hope that he can get the help that he needs.
I'm speechless. This day is a day I never thought would happen. I thought that we would never have an administration that was courageous enough to look into things that no prior administration had. So I'm just here to express my gratitude, and I am looking forward to what comes from this, and hopefully we just get more answers. So thank you.
Hold on a second. That was the wrong video. Let me find the one about specifically Tylenol causing autism. All right, here it is. All right, here we go. Hey, Buttervello man, what's going on, bro? We're covering the story. Actually, since you're here, bro, I'm going to grace you with an ad because I think it's we got 10 people watching now. All right, so we're just gonna do an ad real quick, and we're just gonna do this. Get started. All right, if you haven't already, make sure you download the Rumble app. It's free, simple to use, and the best way to stay connected to the content you want. Once you've got it, search for my channel and hit follow. That's RCAM. That way, you'll get a notification every time we go live. No missed shows, no extra steps. You can grab it right now using the link in the description or the pinned live chat, download it to your phone, and you're ready to go. And if you prefer watching it on the big screen, Rumble is available on all major streaming devices and smart TVs. Just search for Rumble, follow the channel, and be part of the action. And I could not recommend Rumble more. Full transparency, Rumble is awesome. If you are watching this on TikTok or YouTube, KMD, get on Rumble, bro. Rumble is great. They're definitely a free speech platform. And we just found out too, by the way, that YouTube has been lying to us, and banning people, and they were complicit in, censoring the free speech of Americans, and now they're putting all the blame on the Biden administration, like they weren't complicit in it. So YouTube sucks in that regard. So Rumble's where it's at. They'll let you say what you want, and I think that is good. Okay, so let's play this clip by RFK. You can't hear the video? All right, let me fix that. All right. Let's try that again. Is that better? Hold on a second. Why am I not seeing the... Hold on. Bear with me, man. Why is it not showing the actual audio levels for the... Little better, but not much. All right, give me a second here. I'm going to fix that, man. Because that's not cool. All right. Ad reads, followers, window capture, Discord, desktop audio, blah, 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 blah. That's weird, man. I don't know why it's not coming up. Hold on a second. I'm going to just play this and see why I'm not getting the audio. Oh, here we go. All right, now let's see if this makes a difference. No. Oh, while I'm getting this taken care of, how are you guys? All right, let's see if this makes a difference. All right, I think I got it. We'll see. We will see. Can you hear it?
Will issue a physician's
There we go.
notice about the risk of acetaminophen during pregnancy.
I think we got it.
And today we are announcing two important findings from our autism
That should be
work
good.
that are vital for parents to know as they make these decisions. First, HHS will act on acetaminophen. The FDA is responding to clinical and laboratory studies that suggests a potential association between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and adverse neurodevelopmental outcomes, including later diagnosis for ADHD and autism. Scientists have proposed biological mechanisms linking prenatal acetaminophen exposure to altered brain development. We have also evaluated the contrary studies that show no association. Today, the FDA will issue a physician's notice about the risk of acetaminophen during pregnancy and begin the process to initiate a safety label change. HHS will launch a nationwide public service campaign to inform families and protect public health. FDA also recognized that acetaminophen is often the only tool for fevers and pain in pregnancy, as other alternatives have well-documented adverse effects. HHS wants, therefore, to encourage clinicians to exercise their best judgment in the use of acetaminophen for fevers and pain in pregnancy by prescribing the lowest effective dose for the shortest necessary duration and only when treatment is required.
So Tylenol basically has been linked to causing autism in children, which is really, really crazy and really, really wild, especially if you're a parent, because one of the things that we're told, when we bring our kiddos to the doctors is that Tylenol is actually safe, which is, it's like the only thing that you could take. And I think at this point in the game, women are just better off not taking anything at all during pregnancy. Like just nothing that might even, you might even have a slight question about. But this isn't actually new news. Now the left are freaking out like it is new news, and that this is anti-scientific. But as we can see here, there's been articles published going back to, this one's 2022, this one's 2016, this one's 2017, this one's 2023. So we have articles going back quite a bit that are suggesting that there is a link between acetaminophen and autism, which is huge, which is crazy to me. Yeah, Bartovello, they did say the jabs were safe too, so I'm not surprised either, and I wasn't somebody that was gonna take the chance with the jabs either, but this is just one of those things that they say safe and effective. And it is one of those things that we do, it sucks because you want to go in and you want to be able to trust your doctor. You really do, but it's like they don't even understand fully the implications, and it's just like, I'm glad that the Trump administration is looking into this and actually, doing their due diligence. But some people, in light of all of this, are still acting crazy. So I'll play for you some of these clips. So it's like, it's funny, but also sad at the same time to see how some of these people are reacting. So we have this person: doing my civic duty as a pregnant woman and taking Tylenol because this administration is a joke. So imagine hating the Trump administration so much that you are willing to risk giving your child autism to own Trump. Stupid. There's a ton more of these.
What you doing? This bitch is giving it out. What the hell? Girls that wham in a circle, even if love make a jump like a hurdle. Girls that wham in a circle, even if love make a jump like a hurdle. Girls that wham in a circle, even if love make a jump like a hurdle. She don't know what she doing. This bitch is.
There's another one.
"28 weeks pregnant. You know what I'm gonna take? Some Tylenol, acetaminophen. It's gonna work like a charm, and my baby won't have autism."
Might give my kid autism.
What you doing? This bitch is giving it out. What the hell? Girls Girls that wham in a circle, even if a little make it jump like a hurdle. Girls that wham in a circle, even if a little make it jump like a hurdle. Girls that wham in a circle, even if a little make it.
So these people are honestly, even if I didn't fully believe it, I'd still be like, you know what? Better safe than sorry. I can deal with a headache. I would not want to risk potentially giving my child autism just because I don't like that the information's coming from the other side. It's ridiculous. Bartavella writes, yeah, you would think Tylenol wouldn't be that bad since it's been around for so long. Came out around the 1960s. And KMD says it's ridiculous. I think autism rates started going up incrementally since the 1980s, but Tylenol is now the go-to to pull in hospitals for pain more so than before. These people are real insane. Yeah, and it is that timing is pretty interesting, but it just is so dumb. Like, listen, if the Biden administration came out, while they were in, and they said like, oh, by the way, Motrin is linked to autism. If you take it, you'll get autism. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna, like, I don't like them, I don't trust them, but I'm not gonna risk getting autism or giving my kids autism by taking Motrin. It's not worth it, to deal with a headache, not worth it. And it'd be wild to see if these people ultimately end up, hold on a second. Oh, give me hold on a second. Wifey is outside. Give me 1 minute. My bad. So, anyway, yeah, I had to let my wife in. Okay. Yeah, these people are insane. I never take the chance. Yeah, better safe than sorry. Yeah, it is better safe than sorry. It's ridiculous. It's insane. It's insane to take that chance. So, yeah, not me. We're not going to be idiots, and we're not going to risk our kids' safety and health because we want to own the opposite side. It's retarded. It doesn't make any sense, and I'll never do it. So anyway, that's leftists being unhinged as usual. So there's one more story. Well, actually, a couple more stories I want to talk about, but I want to highlight this one by Lauren Southern because I do think it is very interesting. So I don't know how many of you guys have followed the Lauren Southern story. So Lauren Southern was, for those of you who are unfamiliar with her, she used to be, she was pretty big into conservative politics, and she was, I would say, like a conservative e-girl. And she got caught up in that situation with Lauren Chen, where she was, allegedly getting paid to promote Russian propaganda. So after that story broke with Lauren Chen, Lauren Southern was obviously also working for Tenet, and she disappeared for like a year. Both her and Lauren Chen disappeared for a long time, and they actually both recently resurfaced. So Tarot Destroyer, the effects of thimerosal in humans indicates that it is a poison at minute levels with a plethora of deleterious consequences, even at the levels currently administered in vaccines. PMID. I'm just going to take your word for that, Tarot Destroyer. I like that name too, by the way. Pretty based. So anyway, Lauren Southern comes back to Twitter, and she announces that she has released a book and goes on to make some pretty wild accusations, if I'm being completely transparent. So she alleges that Andrew Tate had his way with her, forced himself on her, and choked her in a hotel room. And she, so after she comes out with this, Tommy Robinson and Andrew Tate both obviously deny it, and they go on to smear her and slander her and say that she's making it up. Oh, PMID. I'll take a look at that, man. I didn't know, honestly. I really didn't know what that was. I'll be honest with you. So I appreciate the citation. But anyway, so Andrew Tate and them, kind of go after her, but she ends up basically. Oh man, I don't want that to play yet. So she ends up responding to Tommy Robinson, who made a video. So we'll play his video first, and then we'll play her response video about some of these allegations, because it's pretty interesting. So a lot of people are, basically accusing her of it being mutual, and her going back to Andrew Tate's after this event had occurred. She ends up sharing that she went and got like the rape kit done or whatever. So we'll talk about this and talk about kind of evaluating the evidence that she presents. All right, so this is from Tommy Robinson.
Horrible fact. Here's a horrible fact, okay? I was there when Lauren Southern travelled to Romania with Andrew Tate. I was in the hotel room next door. When I walked out in the morning when we were leaving, Lauren Southern's at the door kissing him, okay? So when you read what she says there, like he's raped her, that's what she's implying. It's a bit weird to be kissing him on his door and then get in the car and message him the whole way. Insanity, absolute bullshit.
So they're obviously denying it. The stream's glitching out. It looks good on my end. I don't know why it's glitching out. Is it glitching out for anybody else on Rumble? For those of you watching on Rumble, how is it looking on Rumble? It's working a bit better now. Huh. All right, let me know if it happens again. So this is Lauren Southern's response.
Long time no see. I appreciate you taking the time to respond to the claims I made recently with a video of your own, of you, and podcast interviews. I apologize for my late reply. You know that old saying about the truth and taking a minute to get its shoes on. I do love a good social lynching, from the left or the right for that matter. I'm not an audience-captured coward like a lot of you folks out here these days, though I have been wondering how I'm going to disprove all the creative writing that you and others have been doing about me on the internet lately. And in a lot of cases, I really just can't. Like, it's he said, she said, and people have deified you as a god, which must be stressful. So that's very difficult to win in that regard. And you're a very good speaker. You can say things very convincingly to the camera, like they're true, make a good story for people. But then I realized as I was kind of listening to the little fictions you were writing about me and what happened in Romania, you kept saying that you know for a fact I traveled back to Romania. You said it multiple times on multiple podcasts, on X, and little videos you took. You know I traveled back to see Andrew, and that's how you know that I'm a liar. That's why people should believe you that I'm a liar.
Then she went back out to Romania to see him again. Oh, I know she went back out to see him. She went back out to see him. She goes back out to see him. She flew back out to see him.
You see, the only problem with that little tale, Tommy, is you took the story too far. If you just kept it to kind of things that couldn't really be proven, you might have gotten away with it too. But I happen to have travel documents that directly disprove this claim, 100%. I went once to Romania with you, one entry, one exit, in 2018 when you took me to a business meeting to meet your pimp friend. And here's the thing, Tommy, I don't even think you could give a date when I went back. I don't think you could even give a ballpark, not least of all because you just made it up, but also because you would trip over another lie, another location I was at. Seriously, if you are a follower of Tommy's and you believe his version of events and the things that he's saying about me, ask him. Say, Tommy, hey, when did Lauren go back to Romania? Ballpark, not even exact day. Don't need that. Week, month even. He won't be able to give you an answer because he lied. And every single thing he has said in the past few months, I guess it's been years now, about me, has been to cover his own ass and to cover for his sex trafficker friend. Like I said, I may not be able to disprove every single fabrication you've told about me. That's just he said, she said. But I can disprove this one. And I'd like to think when it's something this serious and a lie that big, it'll make intelligent people think twice about all the other things you're saying about me. And you know, the craziest part to me is that even if the rest of the stuff you made up, like that story about seeing me in the hotel, or, you know, even going back to Romania, even if that stuff was true, it wouldn't discount anything else that I said. It wouldn't. And I hope people press you on this. I hope they ask you, when did she go back to Romania, Tommy? Even better, what was the first thing she said to you when you saw her in the taxi in the morning? Why won't you answer that? Because this is serious. It's not just about us. There are 40 plus victims, known victims, women and girls, British women and minors, the very people you claim to protect. This isn't just about our egos or our reputations. This is a much bigger case than that. Like, seriously, if you're watching this, forget about me. I'm a mess. I'm a mess. I mean, obviously I've seen all of the crazy stuff about myself on X, on the internet, of course. And, you know, I'd say a good half of it, if not more, is just unhinged creative writing to obfuscate from some of the more serious claims I've been making over the last bit. A lot of it being pushed by people directly getting paid by the Tate brothers, by the way. But anyways.
I did not know Yiannopoulos was getting paid by the Tate brothers. So that is interesting that he is getting paid by them, because that would explain why then he has been very critical of Lauren Southern. You know, that is suspect to me.
Is regardless of what you think of me, you can think I'm an absolute unhinged mess. That's fine. I probably am to a degree. Regardless of that, you are being lied to. You are being lied to by people who are stealing your money, defending sex traffickers and covering up their crimes, and who have very different missions privately than what they are telling you their missions are publicly. And there are a lot of people at the forefront of this political world who are just using you. And I see so many people walking into it just without questioning, oh, they're not the mainstream media, so these people would never lie to me. What do you mean? And hey,
yeah, I gotta say, I am hard pressed to trust like a former pimp. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna take everything Lauren Southern says as gospel either, but like my trust level for people that got made their fortune pimping out women on webcams is just, I don't know, man. It's just not hard for me to swallow that pill, man. Hard for me to believe they are super credible people.
Tommy, once again, let's address another little claim you keep making.
Andrew Tate's attempted takedown called Hope Not Hate. I know that they pay people tens of thousands of pounds. They liaise between the media and the person. So they'll go give a girl 20 grand. Then they'll line up BBC to interview the girl. So BBC's hands are clean. They haven't paid anyone. I'm sitting talking. I think, how much have you been paid? They pay the...
KMD writes, honestly, the fact that Tate is still not in prison tells me something is off. It just doesn't make sense. Why is he now in jail? What's taking so long? Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I don't know what's taking so long. So that's a viable question. But I also know and understand that these legal cases can often take a long time to actually these people, it could take a long time to actually go through. So I don't know what's taken so long, to be honest with you. At the end of the day, though, once all the trials have gone through, if he's proven innocent, that'll be the end of it. But I do think like the fact that at least with this situation with Lauren Southern, the fact that she's claiming that she never went back to Romania, and Tommy Robinson is suspect to me. It's definitely a good question to ask. He may not be as guilty as people think if they can't seem to lock him up. Maybe. Definitely possible. I'm not going to rule it out.
Girls. And I guarantee you they've been in contact with every girl Andrew Tate's ever contacted. I guarantee you.
You keep saying on all these podcasts that these 40-plus women are being paid off. I know I didn't get paid, and I know that there's no proof for any of the other women getting paid, the 40-plus other known victims. Unless you have some, feel free to post it. No one's getting paid. Except for you, actually. You got $30,000 from the Tate brothers, which is really curious. Or is it just 30 pieces of silver? You'll have to remind me. Seriously, though, the only ones who seemingly are getting any money for any of this conversation are the ones supporting the sex traffickers. And, even just the whole notion or idea that this was like a setup or a hit job by these left-wing NGOs is so absurd when you actually take more than 1 second to think about it. Like, were they clairvoyant? I need you to explain this to me. No one knew who Tate was back in 2018 when you took me to see him for this business meeting. And yet, that same year, I go and get a hospital report documenting strangulation 5 years before it would be reported publicly that that was what he did to other victims who, there are reports back before he was even on Big Brother. So is the idea that, these left-wing NGOs came and found me and we all took a time machine back to 2018 because they needed that report then?
That is interesting. All right, that doesn't add up to me.
To do a hit job on him now in 2025? What are you talking about? It makes no sense. I just knew that that was going to be the method that he used on other girls. And lastly, let's touch on the fact that you brought me out to Romania under the guise of a business meeting to meet this guy, Andrew, that you claimed was a stand-up dude and was totally going to invest in this business project, this, what was it called? The Front, the kind of media project that we were going to work on together. It was a totally legitimate business meeting that you were taking me to. I just have one question about that. What kind of business investor brags in a chat group after said business meeting that he was never going to invest a fucking dime because he's a pimp who doesn't give girls money? Maybe someone who was never a business investor in the first place and was actually just a pimp who was never going to invest a fucking dime?
I believe that Andrew Tate was a pimp that was never going to invest a dime. I believe that. So, yeah.
I know, wild theory. And also, I keep seeing this absolute moronic take of, Lauren, you should leave this to the courts. No one should talk about these things unless it's in a courtroom. But the sex trafficker should get to speak all day.
Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just going to do a real quick ad, and then we'll get back to the video. All right, so still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Well, now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped, only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold, dark roast that hits hard, the smooth, medium roast, and the Vitality Mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus with no crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a golden spoon. What? A golden spoon? Because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. You got that right. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee, in your mother-in-law's opinions. And a black 1775 tumbler. $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones who have been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. And I have actually tried 1775 coffee, and it's pretty good coffee. Not going to lie, I enjoyed it. So 10 out of 10 recommend. Definitely go to 1775coffee.com and get yourself some coffee and support Rumble. Support free speech, because free speech is awesome. Okay, back to the video.
long on major networks, slandering the 40-plus victims as much as he wants. Well, they don't have a voice. Well, these people remain anonymous. Well, they remain quiet. And he says they're fake, they're being paid, they're whores, they're this, they're that, all day long. Well, Tommy gets to lie about me, completely invent things that happened. I guess I'm just not supposed to respond. Yes, leave it to the courtroom. Unless they're the sex trafficker, then don't leave it to the courtroom. Oh, and by the way, the courtroom in the country that the guy moved to specifically to get away with crimes. The courtroom where even if they ruled against him and all of his supporters would say was just a Matrix attack. Of course, if it ruled for him, they'll be like, this was justice served. It's like Schrodinger's effing Matrix. Good thing happen, not Matrix. Bad thing happen, Matrix. Such unbelievable levels of idiocy. I don't understand how anyone is falling for it. Truly. Anything I can do to bring people closer to truth is a good thing. And not just for the girls, for the men too, for this entire space. Like all the guys that are getting rug pulled, having their money siphoned out of them in these fake fundraisers, these fake courses, just people's brains being broken by all this nonsensical advice and clickbait that's wrecking their relationships and wrecking their sense of reality. The only way we fix things is with telling the truth, even if those truths are uncomfortable for us. And they have been uncomfortable for me to tell. You think I came out here not expecting the response that I got on the internet with what I said? Like, of course I knew that was going to be the response. I'm not a total idiot. Not all the time anyways. Like, you don't get to question the gods of materialism at your time and get away unscathed. That's not how it works. But just hear me out, people that are kind of following this dissident sphere or whatever, or not, just people that care about truth in general. Just because they're the opposition to what the mainstream is perceived as doesn't mean they can't be corrupt too, you know?
I think that's a really good point. All right. Listen, I'm not here saying that, they are guilty, because that has to be proven in a court of law. I am saying that she does ask some valid questions and that we can't just automatically defer to commentators or alternative media or these personalities as arbiters of truth, because they have motives. There's a reason that Andrew Tate became ultra wealthy. There's a reason for it. And when you look at what he built his business upon, that says a lot about the type of character of the man that we are dealing with. And then you see some of the tweets that he said. He defends cheating regularly. Those are things that make me question the man's character. It does. And I'm not here pretending like Lauren Southern is also this virtuous woman. I'm not going to sit here and say that. But I do think it is worth, at least hearing out some of the claims that she's making, because they are very, very serious claims. And I think it's something that, we should be asking questions, especially that question about when she went back, because Tommy Robinson doesn't seem to address that. And I do think that's a very important claim, because she's right. If he did lie about that, if he wasn't honest about that, then what else is he not telling the truth about? I think those are good questions to ask.
People abusing their positions, that thing we like to pretend only Democrats and leftists do. No, it's wherever money and power is. Wherever power and money congregate, that kind of behavior and corruption congregates. And people in right-wing and dissident spheres have been totally brainwashed into thinking that's not the case, so that these people can get away with it repeatedly. It's been crazy work to watch. Anyways.
Yeah, I'm no fool either. I have seen people in the conservative movement do things that I think are questionable. There's definitely some grifters in the conservative movement that can't be trusted. And there are people that sincerely, they aren't in this because they care about truth or they care about even doing what's right. I've been critical in the past before of the conservatives embracing like LGBTQ plus stuff, which communicates to me that they're not really as principled as they claim to be, because they're embracing something that is antithetical to conservative values. So all stuff that does make me go,
Tommy, back to you. I don't hate you. Like, genuinely, I do not hate you. I get how easy it is to lose sight of what you initially set out to achieve, and I do think you started with a good goal, and I think there's good reasons that people have gravitated towards you, but it's You can't build any good foundation for change on lies. Like, you can't. That's just not how, the more important battle going on here works. But you know, Tommy, I still think there is a way out with truth. For you too, no matter where you are right now. I know it's, I know you've doubled down now, so that's really difficult, because walking back everything you've said and lied about would really do a lot of damage to your reputation. But maybe reputation isn't the most important thing in all of this. You know, I've lost mine in a lot of ways, often due to my own mistakes, but also because I've questioned things I shouldn't have questioned, both in the right-wing and left-wing orthodoxies. And I don't think that reputation and ego are the point of all of this. But yeah, I'm not coming out here and saying I'm perfect. I'm the truth teller that's going to save a generation. I'm telling more truths, for sure, than I think, definitely than I was before, and definitely more than you. But I still have work to do on myself. I've had to tell a lot of uncomfortable truths to myself, to my family, to the internet. And no, the result of doing that has not been mass reward. Wow, we love this, Lauren. Has it ever been, though? You know, I've done this for 10 years. Getting mass canceled for being right about things too early, or saying things that I'm not supposed to because they question certain orthodoxies. And definitely when you spent 10 years questioning orthodoxies on the left and getting mass canceled by that, and then you go and question certain orthodoxies and structures on the right, you're kind of left an island unto yourself, and that's not a great place to be. But it actually, in reality, it feels very good, because I don't feel I'm making the world a worse place, and I don't feel I'm part of the oncoming corruption that is going to be the right-wing movement if people are unable to look at what they're creating and the unquestioning nature of it, kind of the cult-like dynamics there. And the lies, the covering up for sex traffickers, that's pretty damn bad. And it has a lot more to do with other people than our own egos or our reputations. So I don't really want to be complicit in that. And if I can push back on it, that's good. That's good. Feel free to cancel me, make up all the rumors you want about me. I'm not sure there's anything left to make up about me. Like, my goodness, the things I have done based on what the internet think. Wow, I've been a busy lady. This will all eventually go to court anyways, and maybe people will take it a little more seriously then. It's definitely not going away, so you might want to, if you are on the side of making stuff up about 40+ victims, lying, and covering up for sex traffickers, you might want to reconsider that right now. Just a suggestion. But until then, I don't mind being a voice for truth and the public punching bag for things the world doesn't want to hear yet. Lord knows I have been here before. Yeah. I wasn't going to do this in a video form initially, because I do not like doing the video stuff. I just prefer not to do videos these days. But most people don't read, and I get it. We just want kind of the quick, the easiest to consume information, and I do think this is important enough that it's worthwhile to make it easy to consume. But for those of you who do want to delve deeper and kind of see the evidence and all the stuff I'm talking about, I did write a very long Substack with multiple parts that you can check out below this post.
She also wrote a whole book. I haven't read it, but I read excerpts from it. It's definitely something to think about. And I got to say, I would like to see all the evidence. I would like to see this go to court. And, if she is really not guilty of what, if he's not guilty of what he's being accused of, then that's fine. But if he is, then he, if he's engaged in human trafficking, one of the things that I find most reprehensible in this life, then he should pay the fullest penalty the law allows for his crimes. And if she's lying, by the way, if Lauren Southern is lying, if she's making things up, then I actually think she should pay too. I'm not somebody that is one side or the other. I think, traffickers are scumbags, but I also think women that lie about people and make things up are just as bad. And I think a fair punishment for somebody that makes up files a false rape accusation, she should get the same type of punishment that person would have got if he actually did the crime. I think that's fair. I think that's just. I think that's right. And I think, if that is the case and she is lying about this, then that's what should happen to her. So we'll see. I think that is pretty much it for the night. I think I hit pretty much all the stories I really wanted to cover. So I will be back. Today, I was originally going to do a. Actually, hold on. There's one thing I wanted to talk about real quick. It's a real short clip, but I do think it's kind of eye opening, kind of unrelated, a different topic altogether. But I saw this going around. So apparently, there are now AI filters that you can use for FaceTime, and this is what they look like. So you can see this guy in the corner. This is the guy, and I guess this is the filter.
Yo. Somebody granddaddy is getting tricked with this software right here.
Yep. And grandma is not safe either. Grandma is not safe because Mr. Johnny is here.
So I had previously talked about the threat of deep fake AI. Like several years ago, I covered deep fake AI and how it was a problem. And I showed this video of Jordan Peele doing an Obama impression with deep fake AI. And I'd said then, oh man, this is like a huge this will be a huge problem if we don't get this under control. But now, so it seems, you could do deep fake AI right from your phone. You can do it. Right from FaceTime, you can deep fake AI somebody. So that is a huge issue. That's a problem. If it can look this realistic, I mean, look at this, guys. This is freaking crazy. I'm not gonna play the audio again, but
Yo.
Maybe I will play the audio again. That's crazy. That's crazy town. It's that good. Like I would now the grandpa doesn't, you can tell it's a little fake looking, but the woman you see in the female version looks pretty real. It's very uncomfortable that they can trick you and deceive you with this deep fake AI. I think that's a huge problem. And now what I thought would be relegated to, would take like advanced skills to use is now something that it's just a filter. So you can deceive people using only a filter on your phone. Indian con artists are going to reach a whole new level. Pathetic simp losers are going to be scanned and fleeced out of all their money. We are entering dangerous territory, and we need to be prepared for it, because I think your average person has really no idea what's happening. And now, again, this will blur the lines of reality. It'll be even more difficult to discern truth from fiction. And you can imagine how technology like this can be used with, political enemies, and can be used to defame celebrities. And it really makes it difficult to be able to discern what the truth ultimately is. So I just wanted to cover that story because I thought it was important. Anyway, I think that is going to do it for me today, guys. I appreciate all of you for watching the show and for chatting. Sorry that the audio for some of this stuff wasn't working initially. I'm glad I got that fixed. I'll be a little bit more careful. I got to just be better at doing checks and balances. So I will try to work on that. Also, I am going to be a little bit more careful of the people that I rate out, because there are just some people, and I'm just going to be real with you guys, just fully, totally transparent. I am not rating out like people that are like promoting drug use at all. I will not rate those people out. I'm sure some of them are fine people. they will not be getting raids from me because I don't support that, so I'm going to try to raid out, if I know somebody's a Christian or I know somebody's a believer, I'm going to try to raid them out. That's going to be my go-to. So, and I'm going to do a little bit more vetting for some of the people that I raid out. So that's going to be the case on Rumble. So tonight, I guess we're going to raid out Ethereum. I like him. He plays World of Warcraft. Good guy, genuine guy. So we'll do that. We'll raid out Ethereum. And we'll be back tomorrow. I'm doing an interview tomorrow. So I will be having my buddy, actually a college buddy of mine, Ross, on. So we'll be talking tomorrow. So we'll be talking a little bit about the Charlie Kirk thing and, some other news topics as we come up. So that'll be kind of cool. Real good guy. And I look forward to that conversation. So I hope you guys tune in. Anyway, let's raid out Ethereum. And then we will be on our way. I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a very blessed night. Deuces.